China launches anti-dumping probe into EU pork imports. Interesting. China opens tit-for-tat anti-dumping probe into European pork. China has opened anti-dumping investigation into imported pork and its byproducts from the European Union, a step that appears mainly aimed at Spain, the Netherlands, and Denmark in response to curbs on its electric vehicle exports. The investigation announced by China's Commerce Ministry on Monday will focus on pork intended for human consumption, such as fresh, cold, and frozen whole cuts, as well as pig intestines, bladders, and stomachs. The probe will begin on June 17th, so it's been going on for about a day now. It was prompted by complaints submitted by China's Animal Husbandry Association on June 6 on behalf of the domestic pork industry, the minister said. Following the European Commission's June 12 announcement that it would impose anti-subsidy duties of up to 38.1% on imported Chinese cars from July, global food companies have been on high alert for retaliatory tariffs from China. Yes, the EU is not able to produce cheap vehicles, so they have to impose tariffs. Tariffs on China, so they do not seem as incompetent as they are. What are these articles? What the fuck? Sarah Yasmin exposes romantic text said to be Singaporean woman killed in Spain had what? Photographer alleges he was forced to watch. Okay, I'm gonna click on this. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the be right back, just for sure. Photographer alleges he was forced to watch Megan Thee Stallion have sex and was unfairly fired. Oh, fuck. Okay, I feel sorry for the guy. I'm not going to read this. It's old. It's from 24th April, but alright, moving back. Spain is the top supplier of pork to China, and its pork producers group Interpork said they would fully cooperate with the investigation by Chinese authorities. The EU and China have plenty of time to reach agreements, Interpork said in a statement. European pork producers should be able to keep exporting to China tariff-free while the investigation is underway, pending a decision and a tariff announcements by the Chinese side. China's Commerce Minister said the investigation should be completed by June 17, 2025, but could be extended by another 6 months if required. Lobby group Danish Agriculture and Food Council warned on Monday that the country's pork sector would be hit incredibly hard by any restriction on sales to China. Pork suppliers from South America, the United States, and Russia could be among those gaining market share if Beijing restricts imports from the European Union. China's state-backed Global Times newspaper first reported last month that Chinese firms plan to ask authorities to open an anti-dumping investigation into some European pork products, citing an unidentified business insider. That was followed by a second report in the same outlet on June 8, requesting officials to look into the European dairy imports. Chinese authorities have previously hinted at possible retaliatory measures throughout the state media commentaries and interviews with industry figures. A spokesperson for the European Commission said the bloc was not worried about China opening its investigation and told the reporters that the EU would intervene appropriately to ensure the investigation complied with all relevant World Trade Organization rules. The EU accounts for more than half the roughly US $6 billion worth of pork China imported in 2023, according to customs data, around a quarter of which was from Spain alone. Second and third ranking the Netherlands and Denmark last year, exported to China pork products worth $620 million and $550 million respectively. China's Commerce Minister Wang Wentao earlier this month traveled to Spain to court officials ahead of the Commission's announcing its decision on whether Chinese electric vehicles producers benefit from distortive state subsidies. It will not be the first time that a probe announced in one jurisdiction is responded to in kind, so in view of the EU electric vehicles probe, that is not a surprise, Jens Eskelund, president of the European Union Chambers of Commerce in China, said. Free and open markets rely on rules-based state practices, he added. Growing alarm over Chinese industrial overcapacity flooding the EU with cheap products, including EVs. Oh no, they are flooding us with cheap cars. How dare they? How dare they offer us a good bargain? This is unacceptable. Our citizens, our Europeans will only have the hardest, the toughest bargains right up their arse. The most expensive EVs, the most expensive healthcare, well, after the US, the most expensive useless military, everything is useless in the EU. Hoorah! Wait, that's Russian, sorry. What is something EU? Oh yes. Oh yeah! Jawohl, mein Officer. Growing alarms over Chinese industrial overcapacity from the EU is opening a new front in the West trade war with Beijing, which began with Washington's import tariffs in 2018. EU trade policy is turning increasingly protective against the global ramification of China's production-focused, debt-driven development model. Governments typically place anti-dumping duties on imported goods when they suspect the item in question is being sold for less than it costs to produce in order to protect domestic firms. I still don't see how it is my problem that I could buy an EV that is much more cheaper than the Western counterparts. Like, you do realize that these people have been telling you to actually buy EV to go, green and shit like that. And now when you actually have an option, they care about it because, they're getting outcompeted. And they put a lot of money into the EV industry as well, like, don't forget about that. I mean, I feel no sympathy towards the EU, like, they invested a lot. But I mean, they're frankly incompetent. Like, they even got Tesla to actually produce EVs for them. So I mean, yeah, obviously, like, the Chinese will be cheaper if they have to compete with Tesla, which I believe is pretty expensive, or is relatively expensive, as far as I remember. I don't know how the situation is right now. Maybe that it got better, but who knows? I mean, all Elon Musk is doing is, being on Twitter and making some random speeches that are literally nothing to the topic, but whatever. Governments typically place so be read it. Okay, interesting article. Again, actions have reactions. You should know this from elementary. EU is trying to regulate Chinese products, so Chinese will strike back. He says that. Moving on.